Welcome to the Stack of Stats podcast. Pam Maldonado, joined by my girl Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, we went 2-3 last week, a complete bummer. I'm learning more and more each week that I should not be trusting Brandon Staley as a head coach. A disappointment for the Chargers on my end, but we are in for a new week. It is week 8 of the NFL. How are you feeling entering this week?
So far, so good. Finally starting to hit a stride between college football and NFL over there in the VSiN contest with Matt Human. So making moves like that gives you a little bit of confidence, right? You're more confident in your picks. There was that couple week stretch where things weren't going for me, I just was like, I don't love anything. Here's why. And it's once you start hitting that stride, though, you kind of get in a rhythm. And I feel like even though it's week 9, and that seems a little late for me to be hitting a stride in college football, it's only week 8 in NFL. So I feel like right now is like the time to start cresting on the top of that roller coaster before, the playoffs and all hell breaks loose.
Well, both of our best bets are 3-4 entering a new week. But it is a new opportunity. You said you're finding your stride. I'm definitely not finding a stride. I've lost a couple of them back to back. But what I'm looking for instead is really just, I don't know. I'm not changing anything out of my process. I'm not going out of anything crazy. A lot of the games that I've been missing, the Lions last week wasn't a best bet, but it was definitely like one of the biggest misses. I think I need to just like trust myself a little bit more on my initial instincts. I really like the Falcons, stuff like that. Neither that Texans that didn't end up on my card, so I just need to go with like initial stuff instead of trying to talk myself into or out of other plays. So just a reminder of what it is that we are doing. It is 5 against the spread contest picks. These are set lines set out, released every Wednesday. Those lines do not change. Automatically in is Kelly's best bet. Automatically in is my best bet. So Kelly, for your best, what are you rolling with this week?
So we know finding a quantitative best bet is very tough to do, right? Like there's like 3 games that I like, and then every show you go on is like, we need a best bet. Well, I bet these all the same, so it makes it a little difficult. But I am going to this game, and we are going to miss you in Nashville. Ariel and I are going, and I said, when this line came out, I made Tennessee -1 last week, and I said, I doubt I'll get involved. Maybe we'll look towards the under. How boring for a live football game. And then all of a sudden, this one
Mhm.
opens 2.5. They announce Ryan Tannehill out, moves to 3. It looks like Will Levis is going to be the starter in Tennessee. I don't care if it's him or Malik Willis. Neither is a really that significant of a drop off from Ryan Tannehill. But I'm sorry, what am I missing here? When did the Falcons decide, or the bookmakers decide that the Falcons should be 3-point favorites? Oh, wait, because they just beat a mid Tampa team? Desmond Ritter, 3 fumbles in that game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get benched if things go any farther south. The Falcons just have not been that great on the road. 9.6 points per game in their 3 road games / neutral site games this year. 1-8 straight up, 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 on the road. I'm not overthinking this. I'm taking Tennessee +3. I think they win the game outright.
I love it. I love it. I don't really have too much to argue on or against. I'm also leaning to the Titans, but it's not really with any strong conviction. So, girl, I would take your word. Mine is going to be a complete dud. You're not going to like it, but whatever. I'm going with the Patriots +9 at the Dolphins. And there's something that you had said earlier. It was this week. At least you felt that there was a lot of games. Typically, what we like to do is like we're playing on teams. This is their strength, and then it falls into an opponent's weakness. I feel like this week for week 8, it's more of like a fade opportunity rather than plays on. That's the exact scenario for me this week. Why backing the Patriots +9 to the Dolphins? A fade on a few things. Number one, the Dolphins are coming off very physical football against the Eagles. Just no matter who you are, when you play the Eagles, you just go into the next week a little bit bruised and broken, and that's no different this week with the Dolphins. Injuries are starting to pile up for Miami. Players who did not practice yesterday are limited or did return today. Raheem Mostert, their lead running back. You already have Devon Achane, who is still on IR. Mostert's coming into this a little bit banged up. Tyreek Hill, banged up. And then you have New England, who has a history of playing well against a Miami defense. Against Miami, New England ups their usage of zone defense. In week 2, when they already played, 63%, that was the second highest rate that the Patriots have used of zone defense this season. Last year, they used 77%, so compared to 59 against everybody else. Well, when they do that, Tua Tagovailoa, he kind of falters against zone defense. He has 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Now, I'm talking about all the reasons to play against Miami, but I also want to talk about the reason to play on the Patriots. Nobody wants to back the Patriots. They look like complete garbage. And I'm definitely in that same respect of like, really, it's just the game that I like. But at least I believe in a thing called momentum. And Mac Jones is coming off his best game yet. Incompletion percentage, 0 touchdowns for the first time, 0 interceptions for the first time in his last 4 games. If he can make it downfield, the Patriots can contend against Miami because 10 of the 15 red zone trips for the Patriots have been touchdowns. So they are putting up touchdowns compared to that of field goals. And Miami is 27th in red zone touchdowns allowed. I know it's like a big, like, this is like the number one powered offense and Mac Jones. But it really is more of a fade on you just came off playing the Eagles. Your team is coming off with injuries from every direction. Things can just be a little bit sluggish. What do you think about the Patriots?
Yeah, I'm with you, Pam. I do a show with my good friend John Murray over at the Westgate, and he's like, "Hey, here's the sharp plays," and the number 2 sharp play was the Patriots. I said, "Wait, wait, wait! I teased the Dolphins early in the week. Don't tell me that." And he said, "Hey, all I can do is tell you that they took 9.5." I don't blame them here. Now, I would agree with you. The offense is a little lackluster, but let's talk about this Miami team. The last 3 weeks just really failed to put up a ton of points. They haven't been that impressive. And I think maybe, just maybe, the hoodie and his defensive coordinator can probably keep in mind and look and see what these teams did. Those teams, New England held them to 24, Buffalo held them to 20, Philadelphia, 17 points. Just saying, maybe this offense isn't as good as we were willing to give them because they aren't healthy, because they aren't clicking on all the cylinders. There's a lot of reasons why. I will say this, though, Dolphins tend to beat up on bad teams. Are the Patriots a bad team? Guess we're going to find out.
Ugh, scary. Well, then those are our two
I
best
don't
bets
think it's
that are
that scary.
automatically in. It is because it's Mac Jones. It is Mac Jones, and when
Fair
he gets
enough.
into a
Mac
rhythm of
Jones is
playing
not,
bad
is
football,
we have seen really good Mac Jones last weekend, and we've seen really bad Mac Jones. Yeah, let's just hope that he found a new sense of pride. I mean, this team was really celebrating that win last week at Pam. I mean, you might as well have seen them win a dang Super Bowl. That's how excited they were. So
um,
maybe they now have some momentum going their way.
a little bit of belief. So then automatically in our card is Kelly's best bet of Titans plus 2.5 at Falcons and Patriots plus 9 at Dolphins. Now we've talked about this many times. I don't purposely look for underdogs, but there was literally no favorite this week that I was like, y'all ain't got some type of vulnerability on, except for one. But I think you and I are opposite of this. But I do want to touch up on it a little bit, and it is backing the Texans plus 3 on the road to the Panthers. Carolina is 0-5-1 against the spread. I know that trends are meant to be broken, so I never really use that as really anything into my handicap. But I just wanted to throw it out there for people that want to listen. But it's about really fading the Carolina defense, who on paper is 10th best against the pass, but they are dead last in pressure rate, and they are allowing the third highest rate of passing scores. Now, on paper, it says that they are a top 10 passing defense, but the thing of it is, it's just that teams are not actually throwing the ball against the Panthers. They have the second fewest pass attempts thrown on this defense because their run defense is lackluster, so abysmal. They're second worst in the league against the run. So teams are just opting to not pass. But the problem is that when they do, the teams are actually having a lot of success. When opponent quarterbacks do pass against the Carolina defense, they're 27th in YPA allowed, and they're 30th in touchdowns allowed. And Stroud is literally one of the best quarterbacks right now in the NFL, probably the most reliable that you can depend on. And if you have now going up against a defense that doesn't apply zero pressure on you, bottom 5, he is the 6th best quarterback with people like Mahomes in the mix, third highest YPA, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Like, this is a really good opportunity here for Stroud to expand on his rookie resume and look like a stud once again.
2 things, 3 things. One, I can confirm a sharp group played the Panthers. That always intimidates me, if you will. That I don't like. I don't like stepping in front of some of these groups that I know can win historically. The second thing is you mentioned the 0-6 against the spread or 0-5-1, depending on when you bet that one game where it landed as a push. I do think trends mean to be broken. And when I did my preview videos and I talked about the Carolina Panthers, I said Frank Wright historically gets off to slow starts. Did I think it was going to be this bad? No. If you look at the look ahead line, Panthers were a 3-point favorite in this game. I think CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans are awesome. I've been really excited to watch him evolve. Bryce Young, not so much. But do you think that a Texans team off a bye isn't a little concerning, right? So when we have these offenses that are gelling and they're clicking, and then all of a sudden they go into like, I won't call it an early bye. Week 7's not too early, but early enough. It kind of kills some of their momentum. And that is my concern here with the
Right.
Texans, right? That is it. I mean, listen, do I really want to back the Panthers? No, it looks terrifying. Am I going to put the Panthers in a bunch of teasers? Probably.
Right. I would say that yes, the answer is Stroud can do well against his defense because it's not a good defense. Like when you're giving up at the second highest rate, the most touchdowns in the league against CJ Stroud, who is putting up 2 touchdowns every game that he plays. And it's on the opposite side of that. If you look at Bryce Young, like it's not even that like Bryce Young is having a bad season. He's just CJ Stroud's on the other side and he is having a phenomenal rookie season. So if you look at the Texans secondary, it's very similar to that of the Panthers, where they are giving up yardage. They're giving up yards per pass attempt, but they're actually of at least in the top half for yards per completion. Now, why that matters is because what the Panthers lack offensively is they don't have wide receivers at the realm. So you have if you do like a straight comparison of Stroud versus Young, yeah, the metrics are not even close at all. CJ Stroud is like top 5 for like almost every offensive metric. Yes, as far as like accuracy, I'm not even talking about just like the generic ones, yards per pass attempt, touchdowns, anything like that. I'm looking at like accuracy numbers. And one of the contributing factors for that for the Panthers is because they don't have a wide receiver that Young can throw to. Like their wide receiver one is a 33-year-old Adam Thielen, and he's only good for like those short underneath passes. He doesn't gain separation at all. He's 77th in yards per reception. And what could help with Young having some of those better metrics is if they actually had a wide receiver with some speed, but they don't. So because of that, if this came down to like a 2-minute drill and something happened, like which quarterback am I going to put more trust in? CJ Stroud, who does have the weapons, who's playing like pretty dang accurate. He looks experienced out there. Like the eye test alone will tell you this is the much better team.
I would have to agree. Listen, like I said, I can't. I only brought so many contrarian viewpoints here
Yeah.
about this Panthers team. It's gross. It's stinky. It's hold your nose when you walk to the window if you're going to do it. All right, so let's pivot. Since we're not going to agree there, I'm pretty adverse to laying road chalk. But since people think we never bet favorites, I've got 1, 2, 3 favorites we could talk about.
Bring them out. Bring them out. Talk about it.
All right, let's
Bring
start
it
with
up.
let's start with Dad's team. I know you're very harsh on this Dallas Cowboys team, and I think it's great because you're a Texas girl, and when you know your teams or your hometown teams the best, you
I
can be
know my
honest with
teams.
one another, right? And so
Right.
here you have this
Mm-hmm.
Dallas team off a bye, and that is kind of what I'm looking at here. Now, historically, they haven't been great with Mike McCarthy off a bye, but I do think
Okay.
that what we've seen from Dallas is a really solid defensive team outside of one, that ridiculous loss to the Cardinals, and two, where they got torched with a very healthy 49ers team. I know Matthew Stafford has done a good job for me this year. Obviously, Cooper Kupp being back in the mix, Puka is awesome. And the Rams have really been battle tested. But I do think this is kind of where the Rams fall short here on the road. And if this Dallas defense really comes to play, I think we may see the Dallas hype be real. This is just one of those NFC East teams that what are we doing with? What do we know about this team? And I'm not sure we know enough yet. Even though we're 8 weeks into the season, I think this is going to be a deciding factor for Dallas. John Murray told me a sharp group played him, so I put him on my long list, and I would look into him a little bit more. It'd be more of a play against the Rams than it would be a play on the Cowboys, if you will.
I'm in agreement. Oh my god. Not only do we both we like a favorite, but we like the same favorite. I feel like just because this never happens probably in like the 3 seasons we've been doing this, it has to be plugged in. But I will go ahead and talk about some of the reasons because you're talking about a fade against the Rams. I think it is actually a play on the Cowboys. The Rams, they get a lot of their scoring production via rushing scores. Dallas has only given up 4 total rushing touchdowns throughout 6 games. This is a very stout red zone rushing defense. Now you're going to put it in the arms of, well, now I have to keep pace with Dak Prescott, who we know is capable. At least he's at home. But Stafford has 4 touchdowns. He has 1 interception in his last 3. This is my concern. Is that potentially, is Stafford starting to get healthier or getting better? Because he had 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in his first 4 games. but he has only 4 touchdowns, 1 interception in his last 3. So some of those turnovers are being eliminated. It could be that Cooper Kupp is back in the mix. But Dallas is the 4th most takeaways. So somebody who is intercepting, who does have prone to interceptions, this is not the defense that you really want to go up against here. Now, granted, like look at the teams that Dallas has faced when playing at home. That was Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, literally the 2 bottom of the barrel quarterbacks, 5 combined interceptions between them both. But then you also look at the Rams defense against mobile quarterbacks. Josh Dobbs, 47 yards. Jalen Hurts, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. Richardson, 1 touchdown. Even Brock Purdy had a rushing score. I would be looking at player props for Dak Prescott to have a rushing score because he's coming off a game before the bye where he had a lot of rushing production. And I think they're trying to utilize some more of that rushing production with Dak because Dallas themselves are having red zone issues. So if you use him as a red line, that's going to help to alleviate some of those struggles. He had 1 rushing touchdown against the Chargers, plus the most carries and the most yards. LA defense led in passing touchdowns allowed. That's could be a problem. Anthony Richardson, a rookie, the only quarterback to have multiple touchdowns on the Rams. Tell me that Dak Prescott at home is not capable of producing the same. So I'm in agreement with you that we like the Cowboys. Should we put it on?
Yeah, I think we do, Pam. And also, that's when you text me earlier, hey, can we consider Texans for Survivor? And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Am I taking a road team? But I did say that I would consider using maybe 2 of the teams that we have to save for Thanksgiving and just keep one, whether that be the Cowboys or the Lions. Now, I'm not betting the Lions, and I'm surprised you're not coming back to the well with them here against a absolutely disgusting Raiders team. And I feel bad because now the producer thinks we're going to talk about it, and I don't even want to talk about what is going on in that Raiders locker room. Everything I'm hearing out of Las Vegas is bad. Max Crosby's pissed. Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt. We're not going to see it be Aiden O'Connell, or are we? Is it going to be Brian Hoyer? Lots to talk about there, but it doesn't mean I don't like Lions for Survivor. The other favorite that I wanted to talk about and see if we were in agreement.
But why not Lions? You're giving all the reasons. But why not the Lions? Because you're giving up all the reasons why to fade them, and I have plenty of reasons to back the Lions. It's Jared Goff at home
because
with Detroit.
Okay, go ahead. You talk first, and then I'll come up with maybe a rebuttal because basically I just am like, fine, fade Josh McDaniels.
I absolutely love the Lions at home to get the win. Yes, the 8.5 is a little like, do I really want to do that? But I have confidence that the Lions are going to like 100% come out with a win because at least with Detroit, Jared Goff has 43 passing touchdowns at home. That's the 2nd most in the league during the span that he's been with the team. The Raiders don't apply quarterback pressure at all. They're 27th in the league. When Jared Goff is not pressured, 75% completion, 8 yards per pass attempt, 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Jared Goff is already a good quarterback, and he's like even better when he's not pressured. Even better when he's not pressured playing at home. You're saying Jimmy G is back, maybe Brian Hoyer, who the heck, Aiden. It doesn't matter who's behind center for the Raiders because now you're going up against Aiden Hutchinson, who leads in quarterback pressures. Jimmy G, if it does happen to be him, he is the most vulnerable quarterback when he is pressured. He has a league low 35% completion, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Detroit is 7th best in pressure rate, so they're going to absolutely attack no matter what quarterback is behind center. I would want Jimmy G to be noted that he is the starter because that is a huge discrepancy. But what we saw last week and what was my worry was how much was the Detroit defensive metrics because of strength of schedule. We saw it. They were like top 5 in almost every defensive metric, and then they just got romped on by Baltimore. Jimmy G is not Lamar Jackson. So I'm definitely.
I was just getting ready to say that. The mobile quarterbacks are the problem for this Lions team. Lamar Jackson was absolutely an issue. So that's something that we need to maybe put down in our notes. Like next time the Lions are facing a very mobile quarterback, and Jimmy G's out there like a freaking statue. Brian Hoyer's my age.
Yeah.
The guy's lost 13 consecutive games. You might as well put me out there for the Raiders.
So then it doesn't even matter. So like if it ends up being like Jimmy G or no matter what, if the passing game is not there for the Raiders, then they're going to have to turn to the run, except Josh Jacobs is not a very good, efficient running back this year. One, they don't even run. And then when they do run, they're not good at it. They're 35th in yards per carry, averaging just 2.9 yards. They're 30th in success rate. And Detroit defense, we know that Detroit's rushing defense is pretty elite, except when you're going against Baltimore. But only 3.5 yards per carry, ninth in defensive success rate against the run. So there's really no reason to think that the Lions at home could not cover a big spread.
Yeah, look, I bet Lions in every single teaser possible this week because you're absolutely right. I don't see them losing this game. There was another spot that I had them in our spreadsheet penciled in for Survivor, and we are still a month away from Thanksgiving. So that was the one thing if we wanted to pivot. Really, the only week I see you could use the Chargers versus the Bears. You could use them in a couple weeks versus the Broncos, which, I don't even know what to make of that team. But maybe we'll clip this and we'll send this to Ariel and see if we can get her on board with the Lions, because nothing is more nauseating than me having all $4,000 survivors on the Chargers.
And there's actually a good amount. Because of the Chargers, let's look at them for Survivor because they're fading the Bears. Okay, here's my worry about the Chargers and doing that. Justin Herbert without Mike Williams is a big deal. He has been on the struggle bus with him not on the field. 6 or less in his last 3 games. What worries me, second half of games, Justin Herbert all of a sudden becomes Zach Wilson. 48% completion, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions in the second half of games in back-to-back weeks. Now, you could also say that is it because the opponents were Dallas and the Chiefs, or is he really struggling without Mike Williams? The Chicago defense possibly is improving. In the last 3 games, they've given up 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They held Kirk Cousins to 180 passing yards, 4 yards per play to the Vikings. So if you're now telling me that Justin Herbert becomes interception prone in the second half of games, and Chicago has 4 interceptions, people off, this worries me not only from a spread perspective, but if you get Brandon Staley as an 8.5-point favorite to a team that can force some interceptions when you're missing one of his favorite receiving, it worries me.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So let's go. All right, give me your next favorite pick. So right now we've got the Titans.
Okay, I'm going to go Titans, Patriots, Cowboys.
Okay.
And then on the long list, we have Lions, which I can be okay to leave Lions. Let me give you another one. My second favorite was the Vikings as a pick to the Packers. This is another week of me fading Jordan Love. He's not a good quarterback. He is highly, highly inaccurate. He's thrown 56% completion or less in 4 of his 6 games. He has as many interceptions, 7, as he does touchdowns with 10. And it's because of that inaccuracy from Jordan Love that Green Bay cannot move the chains or score. 3rd most to reach 3rd downs. 2nd most to reach 3rd and long. And in first half scoring, 2 touchdowns in 31 total attempts. For me, this is a fade. Again, I said at the beginning, I'm fading a lot of teams this week rather than playing on. But I will actually take Kirk Cousins against any of the offenses that Green Bay has played. This is the first top 10 passing offense that Green Bay has played outside Detroit, who all they did was play smash mouth run game football. Now, the Vikings can't do that, but I still trust Kirk Cousins more than I would ever Jordan Love.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. Here's my thing. Vikings did make my very long early list. I was hoping to get some Packer love here early in the marketplace, and we didn't. And rightfully so. They just lost to the Denver Broncos. So one of the things that I try not to do when betting the NFL and even college football, college basketball, NBA, don't overreact to too much what you saw last, right? Here I am, Monday night. I will not bet on Kirk Cousins in primetime. I will not bet on Kirk Cousins in primetime. Like right before kick, Ariel and I text each other. I don't know if you were in that chat or not. And she was like, you bet on Kirk Cousins in primetime, didn't you? And I go, yeah, it was 6.5. So I just took the money line. And she goes, what? And I go, listen, this is going one or two ways. They're losing 24-10 or they're winning 24-10. And there's no in between. It was just one of those games where everything went well for the Vikings and things did not go well for the Niners, who really are just very banged up. Again, Green Bay off that ugly loss to Denver where they probably had multiple opportunities to win. They've now lost 3 of their last 4 in a row, 4 of their last 5. I'm with you on the Vikings. I'll take them.
Okay, and I'm surprised that you're on the Vikings after all that because my caveat to that argument of not overreact, I loved the Broncos. That was one of my bets last week, and I was the only one. I was like, I love the Broncos. That was my video. So I'm not
Hey,
shocked.
you
I'm
could
not
not have talked me into
overvaluing
betting
that
the
loss.
Broncos last week. That's just
I'm not.
no way.
Yeah, I'm not overvaluing that loss from Green Bay too much because I liked the Broncos. I expected them to lose. And Vikings, I think it was just a very good situation where you caught the Niners who are in shambles on injuries. Like that's it. And so once you kind of don't have any players left on the field, yeah, the opposition's going to kind of have a good day. So I'm also not overvaluing that. I
No,
didn't pay
and I don't
attention
think
to
they
Monday
are.
Night Football specifically for betting. So
I'm looking at the look ahead lines from back in August, Pam. The line was -1, Green Bay -1. So I see nothing different than what should be. This line is fairly accurate. Or is anybody going to want to bet the Packers this week? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised to see this being a completely lopsided game here.
Well, then,
That being
if we are
said,
talking about if we are talking about the 49ers though, if we're talking about how many injuries they have and this and that, then how is backing the Bengals not really like a layup here? It feels too
yeah,
easy.
and
Joe Burrow
it
off a
does
bye,
feel very
another week
easy.
to
And
heal.
yep, at 5.5, trust me, I wish I would have bet the Bengals early. With no Brock Purdy, it looks like everybody's freaking out that it's going to be Sam Darnold. Brock Purdy's not that much better than Sam Darnold in this offense.
Right. I'm not really this is not a fade on the 49ers who won't have Brock Purdy. This is a play on Joe Burrow who has another week to get healthier. We do know, we've seen it, that Joe Burrow is better than what he has produced so far this season. But you got the 49ers off back-to-back losses. They let Kirk Cousins throw for 378 and 2 scores. Brock Purdy concussion protocol, we know that he's probably not going to play, but you also don't have Deebo Samuel. They have offensive line issues with Trent Williams. He didn't practice. He didn't play against Minnesota. So what's his status for this week? Coming into this potentially banged up. But at least you have Joe Burrow on the other side, who's maybe getting undervalued because of his production, but we know that he is better off a bye.
Okay.
It seems too
Yeah,
easy.
I'm with you. It does seem very, very easy. Like I said, I wish I had 5.5. What is it now? What's in the contest? 3?
3.5.
3.5. This was not a game that I particularly looked at. Didn't even really make any of my lists early on. The only other one that made my list, and I'm not going to get to the window with them, but I could be talked into using them in the contests, even as much as they pissed me off last week, would be Seattle. I had a complete and utter meltdown because not only did I bet Seattle -8, not only did I have Seattle in every single 7 survivor pools, they were very stressful because they should have won that game like 31-13. And of course, there I am sweating it down to the wire. Yeah, this is a play on a Seattle team that I think is better than advertised, right? I think that if we see the Seattle team that went in to Detroit and got the outright win, utilizing, I mean, I knew last week there was no DK Metcalf, so I thought maybe we'd utilize Tyler Lockett a little bit more. No. But here's the thing. It's going to be PJ Walker. We know that. The Browns won this crazy victory over the Niners. Everybody lost their minds. They got bailed out by the refs last week. And between those two games, they won by 3 points. And all of a sudden, PJ Walker is like the man of the year. This is a really good Seattle defense who should have played much better last week. But that being said, I think it could be a buy low spot from that. They've only allowed 250 yards in their last 3 consecutive home games. We'll see. I would like to think Seattle's the right side here. But again, I'm not going to get to the window with my hard-earned money. But I think Cleveland's getting a little too much love here.
I'm on the Cleveland side. And so I couldn't, to be honest, I have not seen a lot of Seattle games this year. So it's more so of just like it's Myles Garrett and his defense, and they're coming off their worst defensive performance. They're going to clean that up. How about, what's another option? Your Broncos. I feel like I have a good read on Broncos, which is weird because it's your team. Fading the Chiefs is just not a money-making prospect that has been prosperous this season.
Especially not with the Broncos. The Chiefs own this team and somehow covered
I
the
know.
10 and a half or whatever it was in Kansas City 2 weeks ago. I would have loved to take
Mm.
years ago. I would have been automatically on the Broncos in that situation. Now I'm like, I don't know what to do with this trash team. They are so bad. They are so gross. Kansas City, do I want to step in front of them here? Do I think everybody in the world is going to tease Kansas City? Pam, yes. If you want to take the Broncos because we can't decide on anything else, I say go for it as a
No.
pure numbers
How
play.
about
I will, because we're not agreeing on much else. We're sitting here on Titans,
how
Patriots,
about
Cowboys, Vikings.
how about Saints Colts? Do you have an opinion on that?
Not really.
Or
I teased the Saints
okay,
early in the
next.
week. Okay.
I like the Saints. As good as
I
Minshew has been serviceable, he does have 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in back-to-back games. So, and it's something that you like to do, fade people that look really good the week before. Even though they lost, he sliced up the number 1 defense in the NFL. Can you do that in back-to-back weeks? Sack Minshew, and you definitely have a chance because when he's sacked, he's last in points per drive, but when he's kept clean, he's the 9th best. So if there is ever a time for Derek Carr, who we've seen all over the socials yelling at his receivers and Chris Olave and all these things, if there was ever a time for Carr to have a good game, it would be this because the Colts defense, they stink. They're allowing the 2nd most scoring plays per game. This is why you see them in high scoring games as of late. So it's more so of just like, this is it, man. This is all you got, Carr. This is like literally the one defense that you should look well, that you should perform well against. And if you don't, then that offense has a lot more problems than what we know about. And then the Colts, I mean, you have more interceptions than touchdowns as of late. Fade on? I don't know. Think? Anything? Or we just stick with the Lions because they're at home.
no, I can't lay it with the Lions. Everybody in the world is going to rush to the window to bet the Lions this week, and I'm already terrified of this team for a magnitude of reasons. But I could be talked into them for Survivor. Okay. Only other one that is on the list that I'm kind of like, all right, let's take a step back. The Commanders. You have Philly off a big win over
No,
the Dolphins.
we keep fading Eagles. And we keep fading the Eagles every week, and we're like 0-7.
I'm not 0-7. We took the Jets. You talked me into taking the
That's true.
Jets, and they
Okay,
won
we're 1
outright.
6.
I'm just saying they
You're
went
right. You're
outright.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it. I had the Commanders way, way, way down on my long list. I literally played 2 games this week and a ton of teasers yet again. So you want to lay it with
Okay.
Baltimore on the road at Arizona and break all my rules? I mean, that'd be the only one you could probably also talk me
No.
into.
Here's what
Ravens.
so we got Titans, Patriots, Cowboys. Honestly, I don't even really love Bengals because it looks too easy, but we can pack them on. No game we talked about do you feel stronger than? Because we're not going to go. I do like Texans.
Okay, so if you're gonna
So
make
I'm not
me
going to
pick
flip on.
between, how about this? You're gonna give me the Lions, the Broncos.
No, I'll give you whatever. Just not
why did these stupid balloons
not
keep coming
Panthers.
back? I hate this. I literally hate this new camera. If I move my hands at all, it makes look, it does stupid things. Like I'm so irritated by it. It didn't give a thumbs up, of course, because I just
Oh my
figured out how to
God.
turn it off. Whatever, I quit. Okay.
How about Steelers? We also didn't talk about Steelers.
I put the Steelers in a ton of teasers. Now, part of the reason why I kind of got talked off the Steelers is we talk about people who know their own teams, right? And I do a
Right.
show with Marco D'Angelo from Pittsburgh, been following this team for 60 years, his entire life. I like the Steelers here because what are you going to get with the Steelers?
Yeah.
You may get a defensive touchdown because that is exactly what's happened in almost every single game.
Right.
TJ Watt, 8 sacks. Pittsburgh's defense has been awesome. Awesome.
Especially at
17,
home, yeah.
5-3 against the spread the last 25 times as a home dog under Mike Tomlin. Would love to take the Steelers.
Okay, I'm plugging that in. So just to expand a little bit on this, the reason why you want to take, where is it? There you go. There it is. So I am a Jags fan, but I think that Trevor Lawrence could really struggle here. My only concern is that last week he was supposed to have a knee injury, and he played awesome. He had 59 rushing yards, the most yet that he's had all season, 7.5 yards per carry. Now, the only reason why you would ever want to back the Steelers is because of that defense. Pittsburgh, that's the only thing that they have going for them is that pass rush, and you mentioned with TJ Watt. The second highest sack percentage when playing at home. And we saw it against Lamar Jackson, where they produced 4 sacks on him. And what did Jackson have, who just looked absolute bomb against the Lions? 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Is Trevor Lawrence a Lamar Jackson, who is also a mobile quarterback? They took away their run game, forced him to pass, and then they ended up having success with that, allowing a league low 37% completion. Pressure Lawrence, he has a 48% completion. I liked your stat of at home as a dog. I'm going to plug it in. That's what we got.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I let Marco scare me off of it, but I did put them in a ton of teasers this week. This Steelers team is playing great ball, and I don't think it has anything to do with the offense. It has everything to do with the defense.
So do we like Bengals more? Vikings fading Jordan Love, Saints fading Gardner Minshew, who's throwing more interceptions, or anything else that you like more?
I feel like we should just take the Broncos just so I can suffer.
Imagine having the Chargers and the Broncos.
Imagine being like 4-0 and I have to cheer, and then Patrick Mahomes throws for 400 yards against this Broncos defense, and I just text you how much I hate the Broncos.
So the reason why I like the Broncos, it's a 7-point. Yes, okay. Here's why. We know how good of a defense the Jets are. And Russell Wilson against the Jets, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. There was 3 fumbles, but KC is not the same defense as the Jets defensively, especially in terms of takeaway numbers. I have not seen news, Kelly. I can't believe I'm saying this. I haven't seen any news that Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance because we know that Kelsey has been ball when his girl is in the building. She ain't. If you think she's going to go on the road and watch Denver, hell nah. Broncos defense in that first game, that is what impressed me.
She went on the road to watch the Jets and they almost lost.
Well,
I know, because we had them in Survivor.
But this is now Denver back at home. Potentially, there's some momentum there in a shift for them. Russell Wilson has been better as of late. The defense has been stepping up. But in that first game, in Arrowhead, it was 1 touchdown that Mahomes had in 40 passing attempts. They forced the Chiefs to have 1 score in 5 red zone possessions. The defense did what it needed to. You just needed Russell Wilson to catch up. But now he is playing a little bit better. Back-to-back games of I don't know. I like the Broncos.
Listen, I love divisional home dogs, just not the ones with fleas. 16 straight. Mahomes is their daddy. 10-4-2 against the spread. Trust me when I say it is gross. You want to take it, that's fine. I would much rather take the Vikings than I can't even talk. I would much rather take the Vikings than the Broncos, which probably tells me we should take the Broncos.
Let's do it. Okay. No, Vikings or Broncos, decide. Vikings, Broncos, decide.
Broncos. Listen,
Taylor
I gotta
Swift,
cheer for a lot of chaos.
Stay home, girl. Stay home,
I'm
girl.
gonna be at Nissan Stadium or on an airplane, so I don't have to watch these atrocities when Patrick Mahomes wins 34-3.
I'll tell her it's Halloween. You gotta get all cute and stuff for parties. You can't be watching no NFL game. So then those are our 5 against the spread picks. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but whatever. Titans +2.5 at the Falcons. Patriots +9 at the Dolphins. Cowboys 6.5-point home favorites to the Rams. Steelers +2.5 at home to the Jags, and Broncos +7 at home to the Chiefs. I don't know what to say.
All right. We're probably gonna go 4-1.
That's it. That's what we got. We're rolling with it.
And I'm okay with that.
Whatever,
I'd rather go 4-1 than 2-3. So here we are.
Let's do it. And at least we're not forcing anything, and I went with my first instinct, so that's all that I can do. I'm sticking with the Patriots as my best. Whatever happens from there. Do make sure to follow Kelly on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Do make sure to follow me on Twitter at Pamela M35. And that does it for another episode of Stack of Stats.